Hi, my name is Leanne Hadley, and this is the fourth lesson on Holy Listening. Holy Listening is a model that I developed to help grieving children to heal and to find wholeness again after loss. And I was able to codify it in my doctoral project of my Doctor of Ministry. And I'm here sharing it with you for 4 sessions so that you can be a holy listener in the space that you dwell, whether that be at home, at church, at work, wherever you need to be. And you know, our world needs more listeners. We have a lot of talkers. We have a lot of things talking at us. We have a lot of opinions. We need more listeners. So I hope that you will listen to all 4 of these and then become a holy listener. And I hope that after you do this whole series, you'll feel comfortable doing that. If you want to learn more about my work or contact me, you can go to my website, which is leanne-hadley.com. So anyway, let's get on with holy listening. As you know, this is the model that we use. And it basically says that for transformation to happen, we move through this model. And I want to look at the model, and I want to talk tonight about the importance of the ritual that we use. So first, let's remember that this is a model where we are creating space for one another. So if I am the holy listener and you are the one speaking, I am a bookend. You are talking to me and I am receiving what you say, but really what I'm doing is holding space for God to come in and do the listening and the work. So I'm just holding sacred space and God is the one that does the work. So to be a listener, you don't need to know what to say. You don't know how to fix it. And of course, you're not going to judge because you're just holding sacred space with another person. So that's the model. If I had a Bible character that reminds me of someone who is the holder of sacred space, I would use Joseph. This is Joseph from a nativity set. Joseph, the father of Jesus, who says very little in the scripture. We know that he's a good man. We know that he listens to God. And every time you see a Joseph in a nativity set, he's never speaking. He's always just holding space with Mary. And in the middle of that space is Christ. So this to me is the model of holy listening. And in Pieta, we talk about that space of love between Mary and her son in the Pieta. And it's also found in these nativity pictures, Mary and her son, so in love. And look at Joseph holding the sacred space with her and the baby. This is holy listening, where Christ, God, love, whatever you want to call it, is in the center of the listening. We trust one another. We have safe space between us, and God is there. So I want to look at the model. The reason we follow this model every time, which is basically someone has something they need to share, we give them a symbolic language tool, which you talked about last week, and that can be anything. It can be a formal one, like the Holy Listening Stones, like a drawing, but it can also be a tattoo or something they're wearing or whatever. You give them a Holy Listening tool, and you listen, and then they get very authentic. And once they're authentic, there's this little moment called shame out right over here that can happen. Shame out is when you get vulnerable with another person and then you feel embarrassed. So we've all had this, like somebody says, "How are you?" and you're telling them, and you might even be tearing up, you're crying, whatever, and then they look at their watch and you think, "Oh my gosh, I talked for too long. I've just made a fool out of myself." Or maybe the person was a beautiful listener. They listened to you intently, and then you go get in your car to drive away and you think, "I can't believe I just told that person all that stuff." That's shame out. So the reason we do the ritual, and the ritual has 2 parts. One is the listening side. The other is the prayer and blessing side. The reason we do the ritual is because we don't want shame out to happen. So we want that person to sit there long enough to get strong again, so that they don't leave the space feeling vulnerable or wondering what you think of them or anything else. You just sit together. So you have a symbolic language tool. You listen, and then you switch to a prayer time. And the prayer can be as simple as lighting a candle. It can just be sitting silently and breathing together. It can be a spoken prayer as long as you ask the person what they want prayer about and, pray for what they want, not your prayer, their prayer. And it can be, they can draw a picture, they can play in sand, they can do whatever they want. It can be a dance, a song, a poem, I don't care. But it's just something where you sit with that feeling. So they've told you something very vulnerable and you're going to sit with it. And in the sitting part, the U turns and it comes up this way, and then they're ready to leave. And before they leave your space, you bless them. Now, blessing can be very formal. It can be something like you look at them and you say, thank you for coming here. When I worked with children, I would say, would you like your blessing on your forehead or your hand? And they would tell me, and I would just take their little hand and I would say, thank you, you blessed me by sharing. You are a blessing. Thank you. You're very strong. I look them right in the eye and I say, you blessed me by being vulnerable. Thank you. And that way they leave and they say, I did something important, not I did something I should be embarrassed about. You see the difference? So the ritual matters, and we go through the ritual each time we meet with somebody. The other reason the ritual is important is because it lets people know what to expect. It doesn't, and it also puts a time frame so they know that they can be vulnerable and it won't last forever, and you won't push them beyond the point that they want to go. You're going to be very attentive when they get down here to this sacred, when they say something important. You're not going to push them beyond that. You're going to honor that and just enter a time of silent prayer or light a candle, just be together. So the ritual reminds them that you can do this, you can do it over and over and over, and that's fine because they know what to expect, and that feels safe. It's safety. They're safe with you, you're not judging them, and they're safe understanding the ritual, the pattern that happens. Between those two things, it's really important to follow the ritual. So what I do when I do holy listening is I begin with a prayer, and I visualize Mary and the baby and Joseph, and I think to myself, may I hold sacred space with this other person as if it was Christ himself in front of me. I want to love this person as deeply as Mary loves her son. So I say a little prayer, and then I usually use the rocks, and I say these rocks will help you to know how to feel. And we have little rock templates that you can print off on my website that you could carry with you or whatever. Some people actually makes rocks and have them in their home, whatever. The rocks, or you can just use, their jewelry, whatever. But you listen to them, and then they share, and they become, in this authentic place. And then we just pray together. And then I give them a blessing as they leave. Now, the thing about this model is this part takes a lot longer than this part. This might be 30 seconds. This might be 1 minute. This part might take 10, 15 minutes, an hour. I don't know. It takes a long time for someone to open up and be vulnerable. But I kept them equal parts because they're equally important. So you don't want to do this or they leave raw. And so this part brings them back out and sends them out. And that is the importance of the ritual. Now, as you know, we say this over and over and over again. And then, I'm going to find my slide for you here. Hold on. Sorry, hang on. You're going to do this over and over and over again. And then a most amazing thing happens. They reach a point of spiritual mastery. They understand this process. They get so comfortable with being authentic, with praying with you, with receiving a blessing, with coming in, getting authentic, praying with you, that they themselves become an expert. And at that point, we have spontaneous sharing. So we had children who came to my center when I ran my spirituality center, and I'll never forget these ones. They came to me and they said they'd been coming to the center for a long time and doing this ritual over and over and over. And they came to me and they said, we had a friend at school and her brother had a seizure in the bathtub and he drowned. And I cut them off and I said, oh, your friend is welcome to come to the center. Give them my card, tell them that I'm here. And they said, we don't need you. We already did holy listening with our friend. We just wanted to tell you that our friend is doing a lot better because we know how to do holy listening. It's not rocket science to listen, but it's easier when you have a pattern to follow. And these little girls became holy listeners in their school, and they were the people that people went to be heard. So if you do this long enough, this person gains spiritual mastery, and then they go out and they share it with other people. So the beautiful thing about holy listening, in a time like this where people aren't listening to each other very well, if you start listening deeply to the people in your lives, without you telling them to share, without you explaining to them that they're learning a skill that they're going to go duplicate, they will become listeners. It's how it works. It's life, death, resurrection, life, death, resurrection, and then sharing. It's just natural, and that's what happens. So I also studied what spiritual transformation looks like, and there are 3 things that you see in spiritual transformation. One is spontaneous sharing. One is stories about that. And the third is the most important, and that is that as you become a holy listener, you will be transformed. Sitting in the space with other people and listening changes your heart. It strengthens you. It helps you to see that being vulnerable is really beautiful. It's nothing to be ashamed of. So holy listening is more than just something you do when people grieve. It's a way of being. And the more you do it, the more others will become holy listeners. And the more spiritual, the more authentic, the more trusting of your feelings you will become. It's a really powerful tool, and I hope that you will use it, and I hope that you will grow because of it. I have so appreciated you being here for these 4 sessions, and we need holy listening right now. It's important. I have one more little disclaimer before we leave. One of the things in holy listening, which is sometimes hard, is people might become so honest with you that they tell you things that they're going to hurt themselves or hurt someone else. And if you hear anything that someone is being hurt or someone is going to hurt themselves or somebody else, you have to report that. So I will do an extra video soon on why that's so important and how to report. But in all my years of doing holy listening, I have to say, and I did it in my spirituality center for years, I've done it as a pastor for years, it is a rare thing. So don't let that scare you, but just know that when you listen, if someone tells you something that's going to harm them, you have the responsibility to do that. I hope that you will become holy listeners. And if you made it through all 4 of these lessons, you are a holy listener. If you want to learn more, or you want to talk to me, or you want to reach out to me, please go through my website, leanne-hadley.com. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being a quiet presence in a world that talks. You are a blessing.